Ich habe zu schauen, wie gesagt, ich bin noch schneller.
Ich will ja Hause schlafen.
Das tun wir uns an welchem Training.
Bitte?
Extra hervorragende Training.
Ja. Dann muss ich auch mal Freitag dann jeden Tag.
Ja, die ganze Woche frei.
Ach, ich hätte eine Unterschrift gebraucht.
Ja, keine Ahnung. Wo keine Tasche ist, mache ich mir eine Tasche. Wie lange warst du das letzte Mal hier?
Bis halb 1. Bis 2.
Ich war am 11. da. 11. November war ich da. Hab's angefangen um halb 12. Halbe Stunde später morgen. Halb 12.
Nee, das letzte Mal war ich hier, da war es noch warm, ein bisschen warm. Da war es auch so, wenn es angefangen auf Punkte sind die rausgekommen und dann 10 Minuten sind die anderen rausgekommen.
Good afternoon and welcome to Munich's Zebener Street. You can see Pep Guardiola, who just came out from the indoor facilities here at Bayern Munich. Well, that always means that the training session of the professional first team is about to commence. If you've been tuned in for a few minutes, you will have seen that the Bayern Munich goalkeepers have been warming up for quite a while. And here's the man of the moment, Manuel Neuer. Found out yesterday that he is nominated for the Ballon d'Or, for the award for the world's best football player. First goalkeeper since 2002 to be nominated. At the time, Bayern fans will know this, it was Oliver Kahn. And of course, it's no coincidence. At the time, Oliver Kahn showed fantastic performances at the 2002 World Championship in Japan and South Korea. And Manuel Neuer's performances at the World Cup are part of the reason why he is now the first goalkeeper in 13 years to be nominated for this award. His competitors are, the same as usual, really. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. And we'll have to wait a couple more weeks, January 12th, 2015, to find out if Manuel Neuer will become the first goalkeeper to win World's Best Player award since Lev Yashin in 1963. At the World Championship, Neuer blocked 85% of the shots on goal. He conceded 4 goals in 7 games from 27 shots on goal. In 2014, he played 28 Bundesliga matches for Bayern Munich, 23 wins, 3 draws and only 2 defeats. In 16 of these 28 Bundesliga games, Manuel Neuer kept a clean sheet. As you know, if you're following the current Bundesliga season, you'll know that Bayern Munich just set a new record. The 1-0 in Berlin was the 13th Bundesliga match of the season, and in these 13 games, Bayern Munich only conceded 3 goals. With this benchmark, they equaled a former record set by Stuttgart with Timo Hildebrand in the 2003-2004 season. So we're well on our way to setting some new records, and this is the man who is to thank for this. I think you all agree, Manuel Neuer, not only the arguably world's best goalkeeper because of his goalkeeping work, but also for being a sweeper. I read the sweeper keeper hashtags in recent days. Manuel Neuer comes out of his penalty box very often and shows strong performances there. It's always a bit of a hold your breath moment when a goalkeeper comes out of his penalty box, but Neuer is an excellent football player. Maybe later on in this training session we'll see Neuer actually play a little bit of football, because that's what he tends to do in training sessions, to practice his footwork as well. For now, Manuel Neuer training here with his goalkeeping colleagues, and unusual goalkeeping colleagues. They are at least not the goalkeeping colleagues that Pep Guardiola had planned for Manuel Neuer this season. In the background you can see Heinz Müller and Leopold Zingerle. The reserve team goalkeeper Heinz Müller is officially still an intern, and passing the ball back and forth with Neuer is currently David Hundertmark from the under-19s. The other goalkeepers of Bayern Munich, the number 2 and number 3, Peperina and Tom Starke, are still injured, but good news came earlier today. A couple minutes ago, we just saw Peperina run laps around the pitch. He's expected to return shortly. The official date for his return is the middle of December. Not that that's so much of an official date. With Tom Starke, we'll have to be a little more patient. He's scheduled to return somewhere in February 2015. So let's have a look at some more goalkeeping exercises while we wait for the Bayern professional team to come out onto the pitch. It's very cold and rainy and wet in Munich, which maybe is part of the reason why the professional team is currently still warming up indoors, but I'm sure they'll come out any minute now.
ungefähr für die Plätze.
Der Trainer, ja.
Weil er kann nicht machen.
Wir hatten mal Basel für der Vogel. Ich finde, ich weiß. Hältst du mir kurz den Platz? Ja, ich komme gleich.
Ja.
Minute.
Komm, du musst jetzt für 3 Leute Platz machen.
Christmas decoration in the FC Bayern Youth House. This is where or some of the youth players of Bayern Munich stay and live. Neuer and his goalkeeping colleagues warming up there. Christmas decoration in the windows, but no real Christmas atmosphere here yet. Too many important matches still lying in front of us before the winter break commences. As you all know, the German Bundesliga traditionally takes a winter break. It'll be about 5 weeks in this winter. Last game takes place on the weekend of the 20th of February, so the last weekend before Christmas. That is an away game in Mainz. Before then, next weekend, this coming up game, top match in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich welcomes Bayer Leverkusen to the Allianz Arena, a 6:30 top match kickoff. Then during the week, the last Champions League game on December 12th against CSKA Moscow. As you all know, despite the unlucky 3-2 defeat in Manchester against City, Bayern Munich are not only already qualified for the knockout stages, but already qualified as group first. Still, as Pep Guardiola would say, every game is a great opportunity to practice and to improve. After the Moscow game, an away match which sounds easy on paper, but in the last couple of years it's proven to be quite difficult in Augsburg, the team that is located closest to Munich, only about, I think, 60 kilometers or so away from Munich. And this team of underdogs has really established itself very, very well in the Bundesliga indeed. Just on the weekend, they came back from trailing Hamburg to win their home match. And last season, you'll remember, Augsburg beat Bayern Munich in Augsburg. So that's certainly not a game that should be taken lightly. Then Bayern Munich play against Freiburg, an English week, as it's called in Germany. Means that there are 3 games in a week, in this case 3 Bundesliga games. First Augsburg on the weekend, then the home game, the last home game of 2014 against Freiburg, and then the aforementioned match against Mainz. Slowly but surely, the players are coming onto the pitch. Sebastian Rode is there. You just saw the 2 promising young talents, Gianluca Gaudino and Sinan Kurt. On the pitch here is Pep Guardiola. He seems ready and eager and maybe not passionate, but excited as always for this training session. Soon the rest of the team, I'm sure, is going to come out. The players warmed up indoors today. We might see a little more warming up out here on the pitch, but they conducted some exercises behind closed doors. Some in the Bayern gym, of course. And here, slowly, they're coming out. Thomas Müller is here, and you just saw him wink at Bicente Lizarazu, who's here today to interview Manuel Neuer for the Ballon d'Or award. Speaking of Bicente Lizarazu, one Frenchman is celebrating quite a few records and benchmarks at Bayern Munich. The only Frenchman, of course, Franck Ribéry. He'll be out soon. He played his 185th Bundesliga game on the weekend against Berlin. And with this 185 mark, he has now equaled the number of games played in the Bundesliga of Mathieu Delpierre.
Und abgesehen davon spielt
most games now of a Frenchman in the league, most goals. That's a record that he's held for a long time. Xabi Alonso out on the pitch. He celebrated his 33rd birthday a week ago in Manchester, where he was responsible not only for a great free kick goal, but also, to be quite honest, for the equaliser that City scored. A game that goes down in Bayern's history as a great shame. Again, it was of no further consequence since Bayern had already qualified for the Champions League knockout stages. So this is something Bayern can live with, and yet I think Pep Guardiola said it best when he said he's angry not with his players but for his players. Being down to 10 men after 21 minutes following a red card against Mehdi Benatia, Bayern Munich still, here is Benatia, Bayern still dominated against one of Europe's really big teams, controlled the game and was unlucky to lose. Bastian Schweinsteiger and Lisa Razou, of course, still played together. They know each other well. And as you can see, most players out now. Pierre-Emil Højbjerg on the left, Dante Benatia, Xherdan Shaqiri, Sebastian Schweinsteiger and Thomas Müller. Schweinsteiger celebrated his comeback last weekend against Hoffenheim, 132 days after the World Cup final. He came on in Bayern Munich's home match against Hoffenheim in the Allianz Arena. He was welcomed by the fans with standing ovations, and he said it's one of those moments in your career that you never forget. He said he was very moved by the reception the 70,000 in the Allianz Arena gave him. To be honest, though, it's not really much of a surprise. Schweinsteiger is next to Philipp Lahm, the Bayern Munich icon of the last decade. On the left, Thomas Müller, he's working really hard to succeed in that ranking. Jerome Boateng and Mario Götze here. Still need a little bit of adjustment of their training gear, apparently. So again, I think the Bayern players have already warmed up behind closed doors, so we won't see any specific warm-up program anymore, but I assume we're going to start with some exercises. Robert Lewandowski there. Here's Schweinsteiger again. It seems as if his comeback 10 days ago was only the beginning of the last stretch. He's been in absolutely a great mood and in great spirits in the last couple of weeks. He used the last national team break, the 2 weeks in which most of the Bayern players were gone, to work on his fitness, his health, his comeback, and he's shown great training performances. He's now a regular squad member again and seems to have overcome his injury. He had a knee injury similar to that of Franck Ribéry, but both of those players seem to have done some great work with Bayern's team physicians, and it seems that they can both keep playing without any setbacks. It would be so important for Bayern Munich with all the injured players that these midfielders, Ribéry and Schweinsteiger, can continue at least for a couple of weeks until Christmas. Then they have a short holiday and then the training camp. That's an event that Pep Guardiola is focusing on, that training camp and also the break that the Bayern players will enjoy. Again, if we go through the injuries, Philipp Lahm fractured his ankle. He's expected to return in the middle of February, so that's going to be a bit too soon for him. But David Alaba, he could possibly already return at the beginning of 2015 and possibly join Bayern Munich in the training camp. Thiago is uncertain. Holger Badstuber is scheduled also for the beginning of 2015 in Bayern Munich's annual members meeting last Friday, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge described Holger Badstuber as his personal hero, saying that he's shown great spirits after his 2 severe injuries. Twice he tore his ACL, was out for I think more than 18 months, and then returned to health, returned to fitness, and then suffered another severe muscle injury in his thigh. We're expecting, if everything goes well, that he'll return the beginning of 2015. Again, Pepe Reina will have returned by then. Claudio Pizarro also scheduled to return in 2015 at the beginning. And then we have, again, with Javi Martinez, with Thiago, and with Lam, a couple players that'll probably require a little more time. Here's Ribéry. Again, he equaled the record of Mathieu Delpierre, set for a Frenchman. 185 Bundesliga games to Ribéry's name now. 64 Bundesliga goals in these 185 games. Overall, 99 competitive goals in his career for Bayern Munich, so he's just waiting for that big anniversary goal to come up. With this 185th game in Berlin, by the way, he overtook another Bayern Munich icon from France, Willy Sagnol, who had played 184 Bundesliga games for the Munich Reds.
Kannst du doch aufhören, immer so zu schubsen? Das ist doch Wahnsinn.
It'll be interesting to see what this man, Pep Guardiola, decides to do with Franck Ribéry and Arjen Robben in the next couple of weeks in Berlin. Both of them played away from the wings for, I'm not sure if it was the very first time, certainly not, but in the starting formation throughout the full 90 minutes, it might have been the first time that both of these players played further into the center. Pep Guardiola said he wanted their talent, their skills to be used and utilized in the center a little more than usual. Certainly worked. A 1-0 victory in Berlin was the 13th unbeaten game of this Bundesliga season so far. The defeat against City in the Champions League was the first competitive game this season that Bayern Munich lost after 18 unbeaten games, not counting the German Super Cup against Borussia Dortmund, which traditionally takes place before the season commences. Here's Arjen Robben. So far, 6 goals and 3 assists in this Bundesliga season so far, and he only required 9 games for that. All of those goals scored in the Allianz Arena. He's a homeboy in that respect. The same goes, by the way, for Robert Lewandowski, who scored 6 goals for Bayern Munich this season so far, 5 of which he netted in the arena. So a little more stretching, a little more warming up here. Again, it is wet and cold. There's a drizzle coming down here in the south of Munich. The coaches obviously want to make sure that the players are stretched, warm, fit and ready to go. There's Mario Götze, 7 Bundesliga goals already this season. His personal record stands at 10. He achieved that in 2 seasons in his career so far, but again, 10 in 34 games. Now he's scored 7 in 13. That World Cup goal, or that overall World Cup performance, doesn't seem to have influenced him negatively in any way.
zu müde, dann geh nach Hause.
Vorbei.
Achso, meine Güte.
Ja, danke. Schweini.
Hey, was ist das? Hey, was ist das?
Was ist das, Schweini?
Was sie bitte schick mir den Trikot.
Ja.
Lieferie.
Guck!
Pepperie.
This little episode gives you a bit of an idea of why the training sessions are so popular with the Bayern fans. Here they actually have the opportunity to talk to Franck Ribéry and, if I'm not mistaken, poke a bit of fun here at Bastian Schweinsteiger for a bad pass. It's part of the Bayern policy to let the fans come up close to the players. Again, we won't see the players communicate a lot with the fans when the serious training session begins, but while they're still warming up, while they're still kicking the ball around a little bit, is that actually a chance for the fans to communicate with the players.
Pepperie.
Hallo. Einen Moment kurz bitte.
Schweini.
Bitte.
Schweinsteiger.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
This exercise you know, if you've ever watched a Bayern training session or played in a club yourself. Let's have a look at what the players, how many passes the players can get together. If you want to keep track, 20 contacts from the outside players is bad news for those defending in the center. And again, most fans here, and I hope you can get a bit of an impression on your screen as well. It's interesting, if not fascinating to see just how fast, how precise the passing game of the Bayern players is. Let's enjoy this.
C'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon, allez, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Enfin, Rein, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, opa. Ah. Oh. A merda começou aí, caralho.
Naja. Das wäre schön. Weil die sagen, Wunder, ich komme nicht mehr vor, hat mich verletzt.
Ja, sim, papai. Sim, papai. Pai, deixou o papai. Bien joué! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pega a bola, caralho! Ah! 1, 2, 3. Ho! Ho! 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 4, 5. Touchez l'oreille. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 4, 6, 18, 19, 20. Ja. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hej! Nee. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Sinan, come here. Come here, Sinan.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sim.
Bravo.
Ja. Hier. Oh, Jacques. Elle a monté un petit peu sa mère. Opa. Opa.
Goed, Camille. Eins. Einfach tu Kopf rüber. Das ist was.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 6,
Oh, noch ein.
20.
No, was ist los?
20.
Ja. 6. Einmal
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 31, 34, 36, 7, 8, 9, 3, 4, 5,
Okay, 4.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Sehr gut, Pierre. Sehr gut, Pierre. Sehr gut, Pierre. Okay, Pierre.
So this was a particularly long stretch. Here I think nearly 40 contacts by the outside players, and these exercises show a couple things. First of all, mind-boggling to see how fast the ball is passed back and forth here at times. And it also goes to show that with all the professionalism of the club, it's still just a group of young men enjoying themselves, nutmegged by Schweinsteiger. Causes some uproar here. I don't think Benatia, if you've noticed, has been in the center yet, which means he's not dropped the ball or lost the ball yet, unlike others.
Beide. Deutsche Bewegung, Jungs. Beide.
6, 7.
Auseinander. Ja. Der Ball close. Auseinander. Que dieser Kontakt you have side. Gegen den Kamm ist auseinander. Close, close. Gegen den Kamm auseinander. Bravo.
Stopp, 24. Ja, ja. Il y a personne qui compte, 0 mon frère. Ça va pas? Ouais, c'est ça.
One of our watching users asks why the players count while they're passing the ball back and forth, and it gives me the opportunity to tell you that you can always send us your comments and ideas even during these training sessions. If there's any questions you have or anything you'd like to see in particular, just write us and we'll see if we can make it happen. Why do the players count? I think it's just to add a little bit of a competitive level to this game. Again, in every club basically, and it's the same here, 20 contacts of the outside players passing the ball, so 20 successful passes are considered a good number for the outside players, and a pretty bad number, and particularly the higher you go for the inside players. The Bayern stars simply make fun of each other if someone has to stay in the center for too long, and if, as we had just now, the outside passing players can get 40 or even over 40 passes together, then they certainly won't let the defenders in the center forget that. It's, I think, just another little way to humiliate the players who are in the center already. Again, it adds a bit of a level of competitiveness to this game.
Okay, lange Welle, 3 Minuten. Hey, Nelly, okay. Komm. Nein, lange Welle. Komm. Basti. Ein Foto.
Ein Foto! Toll.
Die ist zu langsam. Du bist zu langsam.
Stopp. Lange Welle.
And here's a little tip from me. If you ever plan on coming to the training center and you want to take pictures of the players or have them sign anything, you should probably wait before the training session's over. I don't think Schweinsteiger is going to leave the pitch now during the training session to sign any jerseys or have selfies taken with him. It's best to wait for when this training session's over. 3 minutes of long passes is, I think, what Pep Guardiola just told his players to do, and then we'll see the first real training exercise of the day.
Ja, warum sollte ich?
Weil du es bist.
Ich bin mal Brille, dann bin ärgere ich daran nicht. Also Basti. Oh.
So, kalt und nur nasse Füße.
Ja, klar. Wir sind noch ab, aber 11. war ich da. 11. Februar.
Was, am 11.11.? Da war ich auch da. Da war schönes Wetter. Ich habe Autogramm gekriegt, 5 Stück.
Echt, der Falle wahrscheinlich, am Tiefgarage.
Ne, hier, direkt hier. Ja.
Arjen Robben, as mentioned earlier today, so far with already 6 Bundesliga goals, 3 assists, with what seems like a particularly short haircut today. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge yesterday commented on the fact that Arjen Robben wasn't nominated for the Ballon d'Or. As you know, yesterday was basically just the short list that came out. There were several Bayern players nominated for the Ballon d'Or until it was distilled down to 3 men yesterday, to Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo and Manuel Neuer. And Rummenigge said it's a great shame, in his opinion, that Robben was nominated, because I don't think you can play better football than the football that Arjen Robben's been showing in the last 1.5 years or so. I don't think there are many Bayern fans that would disagree. He is one of many key players at Bayern Munich, of course, but what probably distinguishes him is that, like the man on the right, like Franck Ribéry, he's the man responsible for the creative moments, responsible for breaking through the defensive deadlock. Again, Lorenzo Benaventura just fell over and slipped. Again, the boys club watching enjoys moments like these, of course. But you can see how concentrated they're looking at the coaches that are demonstrating what the next exercise will be. And it's typical for Bayern Munich and the squad and the way they train. You can always tell that there's a really good mood within this squad. There's a lot of joking around. Their players are really enjoying this, having a lot of fun. At the same time, you'll notice how concentrated they are when the exercises start, how good they are. I remember having a bit of a personal epiphany once when I watched the reserve team train here. A bunch of very young, talented players, great football players who play on a high level already on the 4th league, 4th division here in Germany, and watching them conduct the same exercises the professionals did, that was a bit of an eye-opener, because of course, the precision was gone, the speed was gone from those exercises, and when the coaches tried to implement these same kind of exercises at the same speed, the balls flew everywhere but where they were supposed to fly to, left, right and center. And so keep in mind, it's the same as the football games, the competitive games we watch once or twice a week. These exercises usually tend to look very natural, very easy, a lot of success. The players score goals, the players know exactly what to do, but that's nothing that you should take for granted. You can see here that these are quite complicated exercises as well, and those of you who have watched a few live training sessions will have to forgive me for repeating myself here. The exercises that Pep Guardiola chooses for his players always entail quite a few different challenges and tasks. There's always quite a few elements incorporated in these exercises. Running, then reaction or athleticism, which is practiced, some passing, ball handling skills, and a shot exercise. This is a typical exercise for Bayern Munich and for the Bayern team under Pep Guardiola. You hardly see exercises here in which the players run from A to B, or stand somewhere at the side of the pitch and pass the ball back and forth, or a specific shooting exercise only. That's not typical, that's not what happens here in Munich. It's always a mixture of all kinds of different elements.
Go, too far. Go, 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 go. Here. Rode. Next one, the first one. Mira. No, okay. Spring. Good. Go, hey. Chuck, chuck.
So again, feel free to write your comments and write us with questions. One user just asked if anyone knows the status of the injury of Holger Badstuber. Unfortunately, what we do know is that he's scheduled to come back at the beginning of 2015. That's pretty much all we know. So Bayern fans, you can keep your fingers crossed and just hope that Holger Badstuber can not only join the Bayern team in the training camp, which starts on February 9th, but maybe he'll be fit enough again to train with the team there, or at least in part train with the team. We're all keeping our fingers crossed, and we're all hoping that Holger Badstuber will indeed actually be a part of the squad when the season recommences at the end of January. Again, don't quote me on that, but that's the status right now, and we're here, and everyone at Bayern Munich is keeping their fingers crossed that that's indeed going to happen. 2 torn ACLs, now a severe muscle injury in his right thigh, I think it was. But Badstuber is working hard to come back, and again, we're all hoping that he can join Bayern Munich in the training camp and then maybe actually feature in the squad when the season recommences. But you need to realize, after such a long injury break, it's only normal for players to sustain minor injuries after their return, so it's unfortunately all a bit up in the open. Same goes for Thiago. Coaches are very careful after he's shown a couple of reactions following his injury and is still out for an undetermined period of time. But Pizarro, Badstuber and David Alaba are the players that we're all hoping can join Bayern in this training camp, which takes place from the 9th to the 17th of January. We still don't officially have a confirmation of where that will take place, but I can tell you that on January 7th, the players will reconvene in Munich, so they'll have a 2-week holiday from Christmas to January 7th, and there'll be a day here, a training day on January 7th. It's not quite sure yet what exactly will happen there. If possible, we'll of course bring you that training session live from here as well. If not, then we'll certainly cover it in some kind of a highlight video. And then January 8th, and again, this is all not 100% yet, but it seems as if on January 8th the team will then embark to their nearly a 9-day training camp. Season recommences on the weekend of the 30th of January.
Super control. Come. Come. It's good. Draai. Kom. Lopen. Kijk. Super. Draai. Kom. Vekti, Sina. Vekti. Now. Okay, super. Now, weiter, da. Sehr gut, weiter. Laufen.
This is Juan Bernat, maybe the biggest surprise in Bayern Munich's squad this season. He's played every competitive game, at least in the Bundesliga so far. Very few fouls, not a single yellow card yet, but I think the Bayern fans will agree, rock solid performances so far. As a consequence, he was nominated for the Spanish national team, and that nomination seems to have given the 21-year-old a boost of confidence. Since then, he's been playing with a little more confidence. He's shown some more attacking moves than before, where he was, I'd say, focused very much on shutting down his left wing. But Bernat who was a key player at Valencia and a former youth player at the Spanish club, has really integrated very well indeed. And again, one of the Bayern players with most matches played this season for Pep Guardiola's team. Another good signing of Guardiola and the Bayern scouts and responsible men this summer. Thomas Müller denied by under-19s goalkeeper David Hundermark. Let's see what Bastian Schweinsteiger can do here. Müller and Schweinsteiger, not a bad shot. Here's Manuel Neuer again. Later on today we'll try and bring you a news edition from Munich Siebener Street, and we'll try to get an interview with Manuel Neuer and get some reactions for his Ballon d'Or nomination. He's commented in writing yesterday. He said it's a fantastic news for me and a great honor to be nominated as a goalkeeper. Is nothing you should take for granted. And he extended his thanks to the teams that he's been playing for in the last year, Bayern Munich and the German national team. And of course he realizes part of the reason why he's, I suppose a big part of the reason why he's nominated is that Bayern Munich played a very good season, winning the domestic double and making it into the Champions League semi-final as the defending champion. And then of course winning the biggest trophy possible in football in summer, where again Neuer showed the usual fantastic, amazing string of performances that the Bayern fans have become accustomed to. Overall, since he's joined Bayern Munich, 107 games in the Bundesliga, 59 times he kept a clean sheet. Statistically, he is by far the best goalkeeper in Bundesliga history, best goalkeeper in the last couple of years. He has the best statistics in pretty much every relevant goalkeeping statistic. But again, the Bayern fans know there's some things that you just can't quantify. One of them is certainly the fact that Neuer has several games in which he doesn't really have to do very much, in which he's not kept very busy. And then he's still there to save the day. And then again, the sweeper keeper moniker that's been given to him, which I quite like and which exemplifies his work on the pitch. He's so involved in the Bayern game and such a great football player. You might have seen his little back heel or side heel pass that went viral a few weeks ago. Not really that much of a surprising scene if you see Manuel Neuer in training, but just another one of the many examples of how good of a player he is. Pep Guardiola, as always, very much involved in these training sessions, very passionate. He really uses every single session to further the quality of his team, and I suppose he needs to do that. He was asked an interesting question at a recent press conference. He said years ago journalists were accustomed to the fact that a coach would choose a system. He would look at his squad and then he'd choose a system, and then that team would stay true to that system pretty much for the entire year. Pep Guardiola, in this season already, with only, what is it now, 20 competitive matches so far, if you count the Super Cup, has played in 8 different systems with Bayern Munich already. He's played a 3-4-3, a 4-2-3-1, a 3-4-1-2, a 4-2-2-2, a 4-3-3, 3-5-2, then a 4-4-2 diamond formation, and most recently in Berlin a 4-1-4-1 for the first time this season. The journalists keep asking if that isn't too challenging and too demanding on the players, but Pep Guardiola and the players all say, not really, that's what we practice every day, all day long, so it's nothing that's unusual when it happens in games. And Guardiola himself says that you have to go away a little bit from thinking too much about this positional play, the tactical setup of a game. He says what's far more important than the actual system that you play in is the philosophy, the idea. Do you want to attack early? Do you want to sit back and let the opposition wait or run at you? Do you want to play one-touch football through midfield and get the ball forward as quickly as possible, or do you want to come forward slowly with a great number of passes and slowly drag the opposition defense apart? These are the things that he finds far more important. The underlying philosophy, the basic foundation, the principle and idea of the game, more important than the system. But it is interesting to see that in, well, not even half of the season is completed yet, and we've already seen Bayern play in 8 different systems. Sometimes the starting formation changed from game to game. Sometimes Guardiola's changed his system within matches. If you follow Bayern's games live, you'll notice that commentators either neglect to inform you about the system which Bayern Munich is playing in, or keep talking about the changes in the system during the game. It's difficult when you look at the lineup this season to really tell, is Bayern going to play in a back 4, in a back 3, who's going to be in midfield and where. You really have to wait for the game to begin, and you have to pay very close attention to the position of the players to really get a grasp on what Bayern Munich are actually doing, and that is, of course, fairly unusual. Robin, könnt ihr nicht mal versuchen, jemand... So the first exercise here is coming to an end, and you can see it in the faces of the players while these exercises incorporate so many different elements and look a lot of fun to play. They're also quite strenuous. You can see the exhaustion in the faces here. And once again, absolutely typical for Pep Guardiola to have an exercise which incorporates passing, shooting, running, sprinting back and forth. I don't remember when I saw the last exercise here in which the players, for instance, just ran around the pitch or just had one passing exercises or lined up for shots on goal. That doesn't happen anymore. Also, there are really no more exercises at Bayern which don't include a football. If you've ever been part of a football club, I suppose if you're of a certain age, you know, in the past, and the same goes for Bundesliga football too, particularly in the summer preparation or winter preparation, players would just run forever. There'd be players running around the pitch, running through forests. Difference is when you're injured. Here is Rafinha. He's been unable to train in the past few days, so he can't conduct any exercise with the players. He's just going to have to work on maintaining his level of fitness, which means he'll probably be out and running around the pitch a couple laps now for the next half hour or so. It's an interesting statistic with Rafinha that he's played 9 season games so far in the Bundesliga in which Bayern Munich did not concede a single goal. That gives you a bit of an idea of just how well he shuts down his usually right wing. Of course, those statistics are always a little coincidental, but it certainly doesn't mean that Rafinha is the worst defender on the Bayern team. On the contrary, I think we'll all agree, when Jupp Heynckes left the club, there was a lot of speculation about Rafinha's future after he'd hardly played. At least not in the crucial, important games under Jupp Heynckes, because at the time, of course, Philipp Lahm still played right back. And then Pep Guardiola decided to field Lahm in midfield, and ever since then, Rafinha has become a key player at Bayern in the fullback position. So if we're lucky, we'll see a little bit of a football game here. Pep Guardiola likes to do that in the public training sessions, which are usually at the beginning of the week, on Thursday, Friday, when the team goes into real match preparation. The training sessions are always non-public, and then the football games aren't really games anymore. Pep Guardiola tends to interrupt these football games quite regularly, but you can see him here at the bottom of your screen, and maybe you can pay attention now to how involved Pep Guardiola is even in this game. Typical also for a Bayern training session to not play this game on the entire pitch, but it's not even half the pitch. The idea here is to not give the players any time to think about the next move and no space to stop the ball and control the ball. This is all about one-touch football, reacting quickly, and also about practicing the famous or infamous transitional play. How do you switch from attacking to defending as quickly as possible. Here's a good example. If you look at Manuel Neuer, the team blues just lost the ball at the back, and which means that red continues, and that means that the goalkeeper, no matter where the ball went out, immediately starts with the next attack from the back. Let's see if we can see some good goals here, and let's see what particularly Pep Guardiola will shout at his players here in the next couple of minutes.
Bravo! Bravo! Go! Ga jullie! Allez, John! Go! Go, John! Go! Bravo, John! Zerecht! 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 Bravo, Frank! Naar vorne! Hier zijn die. Alle die Kant auseinander. Goed, Basti! Hop! Go! Een beetje links en rechts, een beetje verder. In de mitte, dan kan je van hier. Meer af. Oké? Kom Mario! Go! Ja! Leo! Leo! Go, Dines! Hey Thomas! Don't speak about it! Bravo! Johnny! Johnny! Go! Go, Seven! Seven! Naar vorne! Pas, Johnny! Tijd! Goed, Sebas! Weer! Blauw! Groen! Alle zitten! Alle John! Alle! Heel! Bravo! Dit is! Niks! Go! Alle erom! Tijd! Hop! Naar vorne, Shaq, naar vorne! Goed, Shaq! Tijd! Ja, we doen maar! Goed, goed! Ja! Hinter dir links, noch einer! Zeit! Alle! Bisschen nach hier! Nach vorne! Ja! Check it! Zeit! Oh! Kommen Sie da! Leo! Zeit, Johnny! Zeit! Gut, Johnny! Gut, Johnny! Mario!
Nein, das passt schon, letztes Mal.
Ist gut! Gut,
So if I'm not mistaken, the team in blue just won by 2-0. One of the goals was disallowed for an apparent foul against Arjen Robben, which Thomas Müller disputed. Blue team leaves the pitch now, and it's green against red. Offsides count, as you can see, fouls count. The coaches are the referees here, and the head referee, so to speak, is Pep Guardiola. Let's see if green can do a better job here against Team Red.
Bravo, bravo, gut gerne, Junge. Sehr gut, Mitch. Gut gemacht, Mitch. Bleib vorne, Mitch, bleib vorne. Go, Frank. Don't think about it, Frank. Don't think about it. Zeig mal, Jungs, zeig. Bravo, nach vorne, ja, nach vorne. Gut, rein, rein, rein.
Soll ich deine Jacke holen? Aus dem Auto.
Bravo, nach vorne, nach vorne.
Eindeutig die falschen Schuhe an.
Ja, das hat
Here's Claudio Pizarro with physician and fitness coach Thomas Wilhelmi. Pizarro, Bayern fans know this, the foreigner with most Bundesliga games and most Bundesliga goals in the league's history. 375 games, 176 goals, all scored in the top flight in Germany, and well, the pictures say it all. This is good news for Bayern Munich, who really only have two strikers who can play at the very front, with Thomas Müller and Robert Lewandowski. Here is Lewandowski denied by reserve team coach Leopold Zingerle. So Pizarro might even be able to play, or at least feature on the bench of a game in 2014, but I think unless he sustains another injury, he'll certainly be part of the squad at the beginning of the new year. And that's good news for Bayern, of course. I think that was a 0-0. I think that's what Müller indicates here, and this is part of what the coaches do so well. They let the players train and practice certain elements of the game in a competitive environment, and this is one of those players who loves to win and despises losing, doesn't matter what it's about. Arjen Robben's another prime example of that, and so is Manuel Neuer, by the way. Here he is in possession. Great goalkeeper, really likable character as well, but don't you score a goal against him in training, or even dare to win a training match against him, he'll really be quite angry.
Bin ich gerade dabei, weil da kommt eine Frau rein. Entschuldigung, Entschuldigung. Jetzt habe ich die Zeichen verwechselt. Es gibt doch die männlichen und weiblichen Zeichen. Die männlichen Zeichen den Pfeil nach oben, die weiblichen Zeichen nach unten, den Kreuz nach unten oder wie auch immer. Ich kann die Zeichen nicht mehr, die Zeichen.
Nach vorne! Alles an ihn!
Das war so, okay.
Hey, weiter, komm! Was geht da hin?
So again, even on this tiny pitch now, the offside rule still stands, as you can see. It makes it so difficult to play. You can tell in these exercises, whenever anyone's in possession, really, he's immediately attacked by 2 or 3 players. Good move now by Gaudino. Sinan Kurt goes past, and this. At some point, Team Red's going to have to try and get a shot on goal here. Missed that opportunity, it seems. And again, wherever the ball is, there are already 2 opposition players attacking you, and that's exactly the point of this exercise. The Bayern players who aren't in possession practice how to pressure the man holding the ball everywhere on the pitch, and the players who are in possession practice what it feels like to be attacked everywhere and anywhere, and by several players.
Linie! Nicht!
Das 5 Jahre, ne?
Hallo! Nach vorne! Ready! Da war!
Dann Gedanken drüber zu machen.
Auseinander nicht! Mit dieser Wahl auseinander nicht Zeit. Genau? Nicht. Das ist euer Problem. Der Ball ist nur so. Der Ball ist da. Oder? Dieser Abstand und dieser Abstand. Immer you go, everybody go close. Auseinander. Mehr Zeit für dich. Lauf. Komm, Grün, ey. Go. 2 Spiel, komm, Vollgas, komm.
Hast du gesagt, lang?
Vai, Mario. Vai. Gut so, vai, Pierre.
Keine Ahnung, du sagst mir nicht.
Super, Mann, Jerome.
Ich habe keine Ahnung.
Bravo, Jerome.
Ich arbeite nicht vor.
Ja, komm. Alles hin. Klaus. Super. Nein. Super gemacht. Langer Rückkehr. Nein. Basti, Zeit.
Glaube ich auch nicht.
Linie. Nach vorne. Go, Adi, nach vorne.
Ich mit dir.
Ruhig, Zeit. Komm.
Ich ärgere mich. Ich kaufe das nicht ernsthaft mal.
Ja, Basti. Go. Spiel. Zeit. Bravo, Leo. Gut.
Gern habe ich schon gesagt, ja, ich kann mal überzeugen am Auto und so.
Mit der PZ, links. Ja, Vorsicht. Zeit.
Weil in der Beschreibung steht drin, da habe ich gefragt, ob er das selbst machen muss. Und ich so, also das steht doch da automatisch. Bei der VW, den du jetzt gerade hast.
Leo. Nach vorne. Go, Pierre. Go. Was kommt? Komm sie an! Pass auf! Gut! Weiter, komm! Pierre! Hinein! Geh sie! Super, Xavi! Bravo, Xavi! Entre tú y el palo! Bravo! Bravo, Xavi!
Sowas kommt auf dem Meer. Überall in Facebook. Immer. Gibt halt wohl auch ein Lied darüber. Ja.
Manu. No, Charlie, bravo Charlie. Perfecto, sáltale. Vuelve Charlie. La bola.
Dai, Levi.
Seis. Bravo.
Mit meiner Arbeit eingerechnet.
Gut, Frank! Bravo, Frank! Gut, Frank! Geh! Bravo!
Ich bin eine Stunde war ich, glaube ich, da.
Go!
Also eine halbe Stunde war ich, glaube ich, hier. Eine halbe Stunde war ich hier.
Ataca!
Ziemlich weit vorne stand die Arbeit.
Einfach!
Was jetzt ein?
Nimm Kontakt an Levi! 5, 6, 5. Hier, Frank! Ja. So. Lass Frank die Bälle. Go! Pass auf! Okay.
Er hat gesagt, er hat vielleicht was für mich.
Achtung, Frank!
Damit verstehe ich extra frei.
Go! Arren, spiel!
Nach 2 Wochen, dann war es dann mal.
Los!
Naja, natürlich.
So this is apparently the winning team. At least they believe they are. A little photo taken here with Sinan Kurt, Shadon Shaqiri, David Huntertmark in goal, Müller, Rode, Schweinsteiger and Boateng. They win this little tournament. Big smiles on their faces. Everyone else refuses to join in any celebrations. It is scenes like this, and you just heard a couple of seconds before there was a call against Team Green and they all shouted furiously. It's scenes like this that give you an idea of how competitive these players are, no matter what is at stake, no matter how little is at stake. And again, that's how the coaches work. That's how they get the best performances out of these players. I assume that slowly but surely we're reaching the end of this training session. Start was scheduled for 11 o'clock. They came out a little later, the players, but had warmed up already. It's now 12:35. This is, in case you don't know, Hermann Gallant joking around there with Bastian Schweinsteiger. Ribéry. Always good to see him in such a good form after he did have quite a few injury problems in the past. Again, these are scenes that we have occasionally in public training sessions when there are fans there. This is obviously a fan interview. First training session of this man Manuel Neuer after his Ballon d'Or nomination. We'll have to wait a couple more weeks till January 12th to find out if Neuer can become the first goalkeeper since 1963 and the second goalkeeper overall to win the Ballon d'Or. Thomas Müller, if he ever does win the Ballon d'Or, it's certainly not going to be for his goalkeeping skills, although he does like to go in goal occasionally in training sessions, but I think that's more because of the category goofball rather than this is something that he ever plans on seriously doing. We'll stay on air for a couple more seconds here and see if Thomas Müller can impress us. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a second career waiting for Müller, maybe at the age of 35 or 36 when he gets too old to run up and down the pitch. Maybe he can still play in goal somewhere. Well, doesn't look too bad. But as you can see, we are nearing the very end of this training session. Most players have already left the pitch. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I think once again it gave us a pretty unique and close-up view of what happens in these training sessions. Gives us an idea of how involved the players are, how seriously they take this training session, but also how relaxed and how friendly and good overall the mood at Bayern Munich is. So enjoy these last few moments. I hope we can bring you another training session before the year is over. If not, we have a few things planned in the training camp at the beginning of 2015. We'll try to give you a little more coverage than was possible in the last couple of years. But again, if possible, we'll bring you another live training session before then. Until then, thanks for watching, goodbye, and enjoy Bayern's fifth best goalkeeper here.
Durch den Riesenfehler, weil Torwart und ein Spieler zum Ball rennen.
Aber die Dortmunder brauchen keinen anderen Trainer, glaube ich.
Das glaube ich auch nicht, aber die sollen ihr Ding machen.
So ist es.
Absteigen werden sie nicht.
So ist es.
Also dann, Servus.
Servus.
Ja.